Hello friends, this is a video on how to start a business. This is part 2 of the series of videos. In my earlier video, I had given a basic idea about the steps involved in starting a business. Of course, first you should have a business idea, what business to start. Having decided that, you then need to get into the actual act of setting up your business. As already explained in my earlier video, there are 4 steps in setting up a business. Step 1 is to decide on the form of organization. That is, whether you want to set it up as a sole proprietary concern or a partnership or an incorporated company, incorporated enterprise like LLP, company, OPC, etc. There are basically 2 types, incorporated, unincorporated. In this video, I'll be explaining to you in detail about the various type of organization, its advantages and disadvantages, and you can decide for yourself. After deciding on the form of organization, then step 2 will be to register the organization with the government authority, about which you can watch my next video on how and where to register your business. Let us now understand in detail about the forms of organization, what are the different types of organization, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each type of organization. Having understood this, then you can decide which type of organization will be most suitable for your business. Now, there are many forms of organization, but they are categorized into incorporated and unincorporated. Incorporated will be a limited liability partnership, a one person company called OPC, or a company, limited company. And unincorporated is a more informal sector. There are generally 2 types, sole proprietorship and partnership. Now let us see what are the advantages and disadvantages of each type of organization. Now, these advantages and disadvantages have to be looked upon from different perspectives, different aspects. There are many aspects to be considered for comparing the advantages and disadvantages. They can be broadly classified into 13 categories. The first being the limited liability, followed by the identity concept, ease of creation, cost of creation, ease of dissolution or closing down, how many members are allowed in each type of organization, the importance of understanding the agency principle, what happens in case of death and how is the business to be continued, what are the legal compliances and the annual cost of compliance, what is the status and trust which the public and others have on each type of organization, what are the advantages, disadvantages from the income tax point of view, and the opportunity for further growth of the organization. Each aspect has its own impact on each type of organization. The first thing you have to understand is about the limited liability protection or the limited liability concept. By limited liability, what exactly you mean by the term limited liability? Limited liability means that the liability of the owners is limited. Now, what does it mean? It means if there is a loss in the business and the owners are not able to repay the vendors, the suppliers, the employees, the bank loans, or tax arrears, if the owners are not able to pay, then what do you do? Of course, if you're not able to pay all these people, the business has to be closed down. But what happens after that? In the case of a limited liability protection, in case limited liability protection is available, then you can simply close down the business and walk away. If this limited liability protection is not available, then even if you close down the business, you have to repay those people, your personal assets, your house, your personal jewelry, your investments, your car, everything, your furniture is at home, everything will be attached by the court. You have to sell it off and you have to pay because there is no protection. But if it is a limited company or an LLP where you have a limited liability protection, then you are protected against the loss of the business. And if there is a loss and you're not able to pay your suppliers, then only the business assets will be affected and your personal assets will not be touched. This is known as the limited liability protection. Of course, it comes with its own costs and complication. If you enjoy limited liability, then you have to follow certain government rules. If you don't enjoy limited liability protection, then you are free to do business as you please. Now, let us see whether this limited liability protection is available for all types of organization. For incorporated enterprise, the limited liability protection is available. For unincorporated enterprise, namely sole proprietorship and partnership, this protection is not available. So, in case of unincorporated enterprises like sole proprietorship and partnership, you have no protection, but it's very easy to run the business. But in case of incorporated enterprises like LLP, OPC, or company, you have the protection of limited liability. Now, you may ask, why is limited liability protection given to business houses? Because large business can be set up only if many people come together and invest in the business. But such large investors will not invest if there is a risk to their personal assets. You and I will not invest in a company if there is a risk that the loss will result in repayment obligations and I may stand to lose all my personal assets. But if the law gives such a protection, then I will be willing to invest, and therefore the economy as such can thrive and grow because large corporates can do large businesses, and large businesses can be done only if many investors join together, and many investors will join together only if they are protected by law from the loss of their personal assets. So limited liability protection means the liability of the owners is limited. The next aspect is the identity aspect. What do you mean by identity? Whether by identity, we mean whether the organization has a separate, distinct legal identity, it is a separate legal entity, or it is synonymous with the owners. In other words, it talks about whether the organization is legally a separate person or it is the same as the owners. In unincorporated enterprises like sole proprietorship and partnership, they do not have a separate legal entity. They may have a business name, but the owners and the business are one and the same. It is complementary to the earlier concept of limited liability. Unincorporated enterprises are not different from the owners. So owners and the business are one and the same. If there is a loss to the owner, if there is a loss to the business, then there is a loss to the owner. In the case of incorporated entities like LLP or a one-person company or a limited liability company, they are legally separate people, legally separate persons. They can get a separate PAN number and they can enter into agreements on their own. They may not be human beings, but they are legal persons. It's also known as artificial juridical person. Now, in the case of unincorporated enterprise, sole proprietorship and partnership, they are not separate legal persons. They are same as the business owners, whereas LLP, OPC and company are legally separate persons. We will now come to the third aspect, that is the ease of creation. By ease of creation, we mean how easy it is to form such an organization. Sole proprietorship and partnership, they are very easy to create because they are unincorporated enterprises. There are no incorporation procedures, no legal creation procedures. A sole proprietor is already alive. He's a human being. He's an adult person. And if he wants to start a business, all that is required is to open a shop and put up a name board. That's it. And the sole proprietor business starts. In case 3 or 4 people want to join together, then they are partners. Partners, they have to create a partnership deed, which is an agreement between the partners to start a business. There is no need for any document for a sole proprietorship business, whereas for partnership business, all the partners come together and sign a partnership deed. The firm and the partners are one and the same. The partnership firm's name is just a collective name given to the group of partners. But in the case of a company or an LLP, they are separate legal organizations. So they have to be created by law. They are not human beings. They are different from the owners. They are legally persons. But since they are not human beings, they are called artificial juridical persons, and there is a separate legal process which has to be followed to create such an organization. This process of creation is also known as incorporation, and it is a bit complicated procedure. And in case of sole proprietorship or partnership, it is very easy. Creation of a company or LLP may take at least a week or 10 days and requires the assistance of professional qualified people. We'll now come to the next aspect, namely the cost of creation. We already understood how easy it is to create a proprietorship or partnership firm and how difficult it is to create an incorporated enterprise like a company LLP. Accordingly, the cost also varies. Since sole proprietorship or partnership are simple forms, the cost of creation is very negligible, it's very less. For a sole proprietor, in fact, there is actually no cost because he is a human being and he's already there. For a partnership, a deed has to be drafted and registered. It is not very expensive. It is maybe costing around 2 or 3,000 rupees or maybe a little more. But in case of incorporated enterprises like company, one-person company or LLP, they are a little more expensive to create. You need to avail the services of a professional like a chartered accountant, a company secretary, or a lawyer to incorporate it. It involves getting name approvals from the Ministry of Company Affairs, drafting documents, memorandum and articles, getting digital signatures, going and filing these forms in the government website, and getting a certificate of incorporation. LLPs and OPCs are comparatively cheaper to incorporate, whereas a company is a little more expensive. It may cost around 25,000 minimum to incorporate a company, which includes cost of registration, fees, stamp duty to the government, professional charges, digital signature, etc. It varies, but approximately it will be a minimum of 25,000 rupees. The bigger the company, the more the expense. The next step is to understand about the ease of dissolution. By dissolution, we mean closing down the business and the organization. After the dissolution, the organization ceases to exist. You may want to close down the business for any number of reasons, either because there is a dispute among the owners, or the business has become illegal, or it is not profitable, or you are not interested in the business anymore. For any number of reasons, you may want to close down the business. But closing down the business is also a process, and it has its own complications and associated costs. Since sole proprietorship is already in existence and not artificially created, there is no process of dissolution. If you want to close down a proprietary business, it is very simple. You just have to pull down the shutter and pull out the name board, that's all. But the person continues to live on. If it's a partnership, then the partners meet together and draft a dissolution deed, and among themselves they may fix the rules and regulations of dissolution and who will take over what assets. But this dissolution deed does not bind the public or the third party or the lender because they are not distinct entities. And if there are some claims against the business, then even after the dissolution, the affected parties may approach the courts and take action or claim compensation from the partners. The lenders can hold the partners responsible even after the dissolution. But in case of incorporated enterprises like LLP or company, they are created artificially by a legal process, and dissolution also requires a legal process. After dissolution, the owners cannot be held responsible for incidents occurring thereafter. For example, a limited liability company builds a bridge. Later, the company is dissolved. After that, maybe the bridge collapses and the company cannot be held responsible to pay compensation for the collapse of the bridge because the company is no longer there. The company has already been dissolved. Since many people like vendors, lenders, employees, government authorities may suffer due to dissolution, an incorporated enterprise cannot be easily dissolved as simply as a proprietorship or a partnership business. There is a prescribed procedure to be followed before a company or LLP can be dissolved. If such processes are violated, then the directors should be held personally responsible. Otherwise, after dissolution, the members of the incorporated enterprise are not responsible and the company is no longer there. So in the case of a sole proprietorship, it is very easy to dissolve a company. In the case of a partnership, it is not so difficult, but it is a little more complicated than a sole proprietorship, but still it's quite easy. In the case of an LLP and OPC, it is slightly difficult, but in the case of a company, you have to follow the proper legal process before the company can be dissolved officially. Now let us see about the number of members which are allowed in each type of organization. In a sole proprietorship business, there can be only one person who is the owner. As the name itself says, it's a sole proprietary business, only one person. In OPC also, there is only one owner, one person company, but they have a limited liability protection. In partnership firm, LLP and a company, there has to be minimum of two persons who have to join together to start a company or to start a partnership or an LLP. But in partnership, there is a maximum cap of 50. Right now it is 50. It is illegal to have a partnership firm with more than 50 partners, but there is no upper limit for LLP and company. In the case of LLP and company, you can have any number of members or owners. So sole proprietorship, only one person. Partnership, a minimum 2, maximum of 50. LLP, maximum, no limit, minimum obviously 2. And OPC, only 1. Company, minimum 2, and maximum there is no limit. So depending on the type of your business and how many people you want to include in your business, you can decide on a suitable type of organization. The next aspect to consider is the agency principle. Now, this is a very, very important aspect which a potential entrepreneur should understand. Agency principle means that every owner is an agent of the other owners. This is applicable only in case of partnership firm. In a partnership firm, every partner is an agent of the other partners. So one part, what does actually mean? Let us say one partner borrows money or goods on behalf of the firm. It becomes binding on the entire firm, including the partners in their personal capacity. Let us say there are 10 partners of a company called ABC Enterprises, of a partnership firm called ABC Enterprises. One of the partners, C, borrows 10 crores on behalf of the firm and loses the same because of a bad business decision. Now, the lender or the supplier has the option to move against the partnership firm or any one of the 10 partners. He can claim the amount not only from that partner, Mr. C, who borrowed it on behalf of the firm, but he can claim it from Mr. B also, who may be very wealthy. Now, B cannot say that this amount was borrowed without his knowledge and therefore I cannot repay. You can go and ask Mr. C. Mr. C borrowed on behalf of the firm, and by fixing for ABC and company seal, the entire firm and the partners become individually responsible for the repayment. In case of incorporated entities like LLP or company, only the company is responsible and the individual owners are not personally responsible. In the case of a partnership firm, the partnership firm as well as each and every partner are personally responsible for the borrowings of the firm. This is known as the principle of agency. Now, in the case, let us see how this impacts your decision. In the case of a sole proprietorship or an OPC, this doesn't apply because in those two cases, there's only one person. But in the case of a partnership, all the partners are agents of the partnership firm as well as the other firms, other partners. In the case of LLP and a company, there is no agency principles and they cannot bind others. Now, for a partnership firm, this is a dangerous feature and great trust is needed among the partners. That is why for partnership, it is generally suggested that only family members should come together as a partnership, or very close trusted friends and relatives can become partners. It is not safe for you to enter into a partnership with people whom you don't know very well. The next thing which you need to understand before you decide on the type of organization is the process of legal compliances. By legal compliances means following the various laws. Because once you start a business based on a particular type of organization, then you should not be surprised if there are a lot of obligations placed on you for compliance. So it's better to know about it much in detail before you decide. Now, in case of unincorporated enterprise like sole proprietorship or partnership, there is very little requirement for compliance. You can just do business peacefully. You just have to follow some income tax and GST law. Otherwise, life is quite peaceful. This is because if they mismanage the business, they will be anyway held responsible, even if the business has been closed down. Even their personal assets will be liable to be attached. So the compliance restrictions are not so much, and there is considerable ease of doing business in unincorporated enterprises. But in case of incorporated enterprises, the limited liability of the owners and the separate identity gives the protection to the owners. If there is a loss, they can simply walk away. But this should not be misused by the owners to cheat the public. Therefore, a lot of restrictions are prescribed. For example, a company cannot borrow money from anybody. A partnership can borrow from its friends and relatives or the partners, but a company cannot borrow. It can only borrow from the directors or their family members. It is illegal for a company to borrow from others. So let us say you're running a company and there is shortage of funds. You cannot take a loan from your friend or neighbor, even if they are willing to lend. You can either take them from your immediate family members or from a bank. Such restrictions are not there in a partnership firm. So you have to understand whether you are willing for less compliance and more liability, or less liability, limited liability and more compliance. So for sole proprietorship, the compliance requirement is very low. For partnership, it is reasonably low or medium. For LLP and OPC, because you are enjoying the limited liability protection, the compliance is quite high. And for company, it is very high. Accordingly, the cost of compliance also varies. By cost of compliance, we mean the cost of following the various legal formalities. You have to maintain records, you have to maintain books of accounts, proper accounting records have to be maintained, vouchers have to be kept, books have to be audited, minutes of meetings and proceedings have to be maintained and filed with the various authorities. Your documents and accounts have to be formally filed with registrar of companies. So there are a lot of legal formalities which have to be complied, all comes with a cost. Since the compliance requirement is very low in case of sole proprietorship and partnership, the cost of compliance is quite less for the unincorporated enterprise. But in case of incorporated enterprises like LLP, OPC or company, they are slightly higher. And in the case of company, it will be at least a minimum of 50,000 rupees every year towards your audit fee, secretarial obligations, filing fees, etc. Now we will go to the understanding the aspect of death and continuity of business, whether they are perpetual or what. Basically, we will try to understand what happens to the organization when the owner dies. In sole proprietary enterprise, there is no separate identity of the business. The business and the sole proprietor are same. Therefore, if the owner expires, the enterprise automatically collapses. Of course, the legal heirs of the proprietor may start a new enterprise in their name and continue to carry on the business. And that basically it involves fresh registration, creation of fresh business, and restarting the business with the new owner. But the old ownership business, the sole proprietor business, collapses and a new business is created. There is no continuation between the two. In the case of partnership, if there are only two partners and one of them die, the business automatically collapses, it gets dissolved. Of course, the legal heirs may start a new concern, get a new registration, but that is a different business. If there are more than two partners, then the surviving partners may continue under the old registration if they so desire, but it's not automatic. They have to sit together, form a new partnership deed, and then the new registration can carry on. So the terms and conditions may vary from firm to firm, depend on their mutual terms. In the case of incorporated enterprise like LLP or company, the death of the shareholder or the member does not extinguish the enterprise and it continues to exist unless it is formally dissolved. The legal heirs will inherit the shares of the company and they may run the enterprise with the same registration and identity. One-person company can also be continued by a nominee appointed by the owner at the time of incorporation. So, in the case of incorporated enterprises like OPC, LLP, or company, they are perpetual until they are formally liquidated or dissolved by a process known as dissolution. Once created, it is perpetual, it continues unless they are dissolved. But in the case of unincorporated enterprise, once the person dies, the business closes. We will now try to understand what is the status, trust, and transparency of various forms of organization. Transparency and trust leads to higher status of the organization. By trust and transparency, we mean the faith of the people or the public in the affairs of the enterprise. In the case of a sole proprietorship or a partnership, there is no transparency. There is no method for the public to know the financial position, the turnover, profitability of the enterprise, or any information about the owners. The owners may simply claim that their turnover is 100 crores. The vendor cannot check the claim. They may also give a separate balance sheet or profit and loss account to the tax authorities and their different statement to the banks. Thus, the financial statement of unincorporated enterprises are not fully reliable unless they are audited. On the other hand, the statements of incorporated enterprises have a high degree of reliability. This is because of two reasons. One, the accounts are audited and certified by registered professionals, namely chartered accountants or company secretaries. And second, these documents are available to the public. Public access to the documents is available from the registrar's website. You can just go to www.mca.gov.in, Ministry of Company Affairs official website, and pay a nominal fee of 50 or 100 rupees, and you can download their financial statements, the annual report. You can find out who are the directors, when it was formed, what are the liabilities of the organization. All the information is available at the click of a button in the government website. So the company cannot lie or cheat the public. As a result of transparency and trust, there is higher status for incorporated organizations. So it is easier to borrow high amounts from banks and financial institutions, and big companies also prefer to give orders for incorporated entities. They may not like partnership or proprietorship firms to be their vendors. And for sole proprietorship and partnership, it is even difficult to attract good employees. Highly qualified and talented and capable persons would prefer to join an incorporated enterprise like a company rather than a partnership. So, from the point of view of status, trust, and transparency, the sole proprietorship is not having very high status. It has got very low status. In the case of company, the status is very high. In the case of partnership, LLP, and OPC, it is somewhere in between. Now, before deciding on which type of organization you want for your business, you also have to understand the advantages and disadvantages from the income tax angle. Income tax is a tax on the incomes or profits of the business. So if you earn a profit, part of the profit has to be shared with the government called income tax. Now, unincorporated enterprises like sole proprietorship and partnership are taxed at a comparatively lower rate. This is because a sole proprietor pays zero tax at initial income levels, and progressively at higher income levels, he pays higher tax because of the slab system. Incomes over 10 lakhs per annum are presently taxed at 30%. But if the profits are very high, incorporated enterprises have a better tax advantage. A company pays a flat tax rate and there's no slab system. The tax rate presently is about 25%. So if you're going to earn 1 crore rupees as profit, it is cheaper from the tax point of view to have a company. Whereas the proprietorship or partnership will be paying a higher tax at 30%. But if your profit is going to be, say, very nominal, maybe 5 lakhs, a company would pay 1.25 lakhs, that is 25%, whereas a sole proprietor just pays 12,000 rupees. So if your potential income from your business is going to be very high, if the business you are going to start is expected to earn very high levels of income, more than 20-30 lakhs per annum, then it is better to go for a company. But if you are expecting something in the range of 1 or 2 lakhs per month, maybe 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs per annum, then it is better to go for a proprietorship or partnership firm. And finally, we have to see about the opportunity for raising funds from other investors and the opportunity to grow your business. By growth opportunity, we mean the possibility of adding more and more owners in the organization. In a sole proprietary firm or an OPC, new owners or investors cannot join the business. In a partnership firm, up to 50 partners can join the business, but because there is no limited liability protection, outside investors will be scared to join a partnership firm with unknown persons. So if you're planning for a small business and you are not expecting to add lot and many more investors into your company as co-owners, then you can think of forming a proprietary firm or a partnership firm. But in the case of companies, there is no upper limit on the number of owners. Any person can invest in the company, even for a small amount of 10 rupees, and become a part owner. Thereby, he owns a share in the company and therefore he becomes a shareholder. He can participate in the day-to-day affairs of the company management if he gets selected as a director, but he can become a director only if he is so elected by the majority of the shareholders. So if he has invested only a small amount, he may not be a director, but he can still be a part owner. But wrong decisions of the management will not bind his personal assets. And if there is any loss, he will not be asked to contribute. His liability will be limited. Hence, more and more people will be willing to participate by investing in the company. There is unlimited potential to grow. For example, Reliance Industries, Tata Steel, Infosys are very large companies. Such large companies could be formed because millions of investors are willing to have invested without risking their personal assets. Such investors would not be willing to invest in a partnership firm because there is no protection from liability. So if you want to grow big, very big, and add hundreds of thousands of investors in your company, then company will be the right form of organization. But if you want to have a peaceful life, small business, limited number of owners, then proprietorship or a partnership or maybe LLP may be better. Now let us summarize the advantages and disadvantages of each form of organization in a tabular format so that you can understand it better. The first is the limited liability protection, where the sole proprietors and partners do not have the limited liability, whereas LLP, OPC, and company are protected, and the sole proprietorship and partnership have no separate identity and they are same as the owners, whereas LLP, OPC, and company or incorporated enterprises have a separate legal entity. In the case of sole proprietorship, it is very easy to create. The cost of creation is very low, and partnership is slightly difficult and it is just a nominal cost. LLPs and OPCs are slightly complicated. Company is more complicated. It's more expensive to create. To close down a business, its sole proprietorship and partnership are comparatively easy. And for incorporated enterprises, it is more expensive. The number of members, one for sole proprietorship and OPC, and in case of partnership, minimum 2 and maximum 50. LLP and company, there is no maximum limit. In partnership, every member can bind others, so there is a risk, which is not there in the LLP and the company. In the case of death, the proprietary business gets dissolved. Partnership firm can continue if the partners agree. LLP, OPC, and company are not dissolved by death of a person. The company continues. The legal compliances and the cost of compliance is very less for sole proprietorship, and for partnership also it's quite less. For LLP, OPC it is high, and for company the compliance and the cost is quite high. But the trust and the status in the eyes of the public, bankers, employees is very low for sole proprietorship and it's very high for company. For income tax, if the income is low, sole proprietorship is most advantageous. If the potential income is high, then it is better to have a company. And if your plan to grow is very high, then you should go for a company. If you do not want to grow very big, if you want to have a peaceful life, then you can prefer a sole proprietorship or a partnership. So you can look at this. If you're going to start a small business like a petty shop, small shop, a garment showroom, a tailoring showroom, a sweet shop, a small professional firm, sole proprietorship is best because it's very easy to create, no cost, and closing down is easy, and you don't have to worry too much about legal compliances. Of course, other people cannot join you. You don't have the protection of limited liability. If you're slightly going for a bigger business because you need more money, you want to join with partners, but you don't require so much of money that you want to have hundreds of partners. You just want a little more investment. Maybe you can ask your friends, close friends, and relatives. So multiple owners can do slightly bigger business. Maybe you want to start a department store, or you want to start a freight forwarding company, or you want to start a big pharmacy distributorship. You can share the risk by including more partners, but be careful. In partnership, there is an agency risk. Any partner can bind other partners by borrowing on behalf of the firm. So start a partnership firm with only well trusted close friends and relatives or immediate family members. And if you want to start a professional firm where multiple owners are there, but you also want limited liability protection, then you can also think of LLP, which is suitable for professionals because there is better growth opportunity and comparatively there is better status and trust compared to a partnership or a proprietorship. And if you really want to grow very big, then you have to go for a company form of organization because it gives you the limited liability protection, higher status and trust. It will attract talent, and outside investors will be willing to give money for your business and lend money or invest in your company. It has got a very long term prospective, but there is a high cost of compliance. And so you have to make up your mind before deciding on the form of organization. Thank you, friends. I hope you have got a fair idea of the various forms of organization, namely sole proprietorship or partnership or a one-person company or a LLP or a limited company. In my next video, let us see how to register, where to register your organization and your business. Thank you.